Good morning, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Lisa Moore, your intern minister, and I'm joined today by Service Associate Paolo Sparti, Emily and Tad Coriath providing music, and our tech usher, Deborah Mensch, who is doing her very best to have things run smoothly. We are short a couple people, so Deborah, blessings to you for taking care of a lot of things that you might normally not have to do or is spread out. Our senior minister, Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry, is back from a much deserved sabbatical, and we'll be giving her a proper welcome later in the service. The most important people to mention are all of you. This fellowship and all of the wonderful people you are, for you are the reason we do any of it. As I say the welcome words today, I invite you to shift into gallery mode if you haven't already done so, and scroll through the screens so you can experience the lovely diversity of this congregation, because without it and without you, there would be no us. You are all welcome here today. In the beauty of all languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness. You are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, you are welcome here. Christian, pagan, humanist, Jew, Buddhist, mystic, Muslim, Unitarian, Universalist, with all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of all people. We acknowledge that our community is located on the lands once stewarded by the Arapaho, Ute, Lakota, and Cheyenne people. Our congregation honors Indigenous legacy and respects the enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and their traditional homelands through our connections to Right Relationship Boulder. We also acknowledge that we live in a time when Black, Indigenous, and other people of color and Latino, Latinx, Latina, and Hispanic people are devalued, violated, and killed because of systemic racism. We commit ourselves to becoming anti-racist in ourselves and our institutions by taking actions to dismantle racism in society, taking guidance from and while honoring the lived experience of those who identify as BIPOC, and developing personal relationships between cultures. If you're new here, we are glad you found us and hope that in this virtual community, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Each Sunday is a little different here, so please come back a few times to really get to know us. And if you want to get better connected, please see the chat window for the link to our first-time visitors page, or email your information to our office manager, Carol, at officemanager@bvuuf.org. Her email address will be in the chat window as well. And please do be sure to check out the fellowship calendar and our Connections Weekly for all the opportunities that we have to stay connected. I also just want to give you a quick little heads up. There are several of us in the building, all in our little different spaces, but sometimes it seems to be making the Wi-Fi a little unstable. So if you notice a little skip or a freeze, just be aware that we know it, and we were working with that as best as we can. And thank you for understanding. Finally, if any of the new visitors would like to introduce yourself in the chat, please do. We love to know who is among us. All are invited to stay for announcements at the end of our service and the virtual coffee hour following the service. So if you have a chalice at home, you can light it with me as I light our fellowship chalice. So we know where all our chalices are. Please write in the chat, chalice lit, and the name of your town. And please say the words along with me as I light our chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl again, inviting us to draw you deeper into the present moment and this, our beloved community.
The third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. I often find this to be challenging, mainly the acceptance bit. Obviously, this is easier when my views are similar to others. But if not, boy, what a challenge. It's so hard to take people in all their messy humanness and just accept them. I came across this quote by Rick Hansen, PhD, in his article, Accept Them As They Are, that helped me put into perspective what acceptance is and is not. Accepting people does not itself mean agreeing with them, approving of them, waiving your own rights, or downplaying their impact upon you. You can still take appropriate actions to protect or support yourself or others, or you can simply let people be. Either way, you accept the reality of the other person. You may not like it. You may not prefer it. You may feel sad or angry about it, but at a deeper level, you are at peace with it. That alone is a blessing. And sometimes your shift to acceptance can help things get better. Knowing I don't have to approve or condone helps ease acceptance for me. It helps end the turmoil inside me. And this allows me to come from a more open and calm place.
So is acceptance enough? Our third principle says, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. It sounds so very you, and also, at least to me, it falls a little flat. How does acceptance feel? Included, valued? What do I do and how do I act when I want someone to feel accepted? And what does it feel like when I feel accepted? I actually I had some little issues with the word acceptance, in that I don't have to like who or what I'm trying to accept. I just kind of have to deal with it and like it or not, even if the event that is happening or the person that I may not like is in my space. I just kind of have to accept it. And so as I was writing this sermon, I found that I was noticing different levels of acceptance. And I ended up with 3 different types. The first one was casual acceptance. Then the second was radical acceptance. And I came up with a third. I'll give you the wording on that in just a little bit. But the casual acceptance, that very, this happened, not too keen on it, but I can get over it. Like, I go to the grocery store and they are out of the kind of dairy-free milk I want. I just accept it and go on my merry way. I can go to another grocery store. I can do without, whatever. It doesn't cause me a lot of strife. I don't think that's the acceptance that our third principle is thinking of. Which brings me to radical acceptance, which still doesn't quite feel covenantal enough to me. Radical acceptance is some of the things that Paulo talked about. It's deeper. It kicks acceptance up a notch. Does acceptance really need to be radicalized? In some cases, yes. It's something harder. It's more personal. And it calls me internally to constantly accept something that I find intolerable. Sometimes this might be the loss of a loved one or a deep wound, my own mortality. I think about this, and I think about the people in my life, my dad in particular. Now, I know my dad loves me, but he also doesn't accept me, my authentic self. He wants me to be a different person than who I am, believe differently, act differently, live differently. This creates suffering in my dad. And for a long time, it created suffering in me too. Because this type of casual acceptance, that I accept that you're here, but you'd be so much better if, it feels like a conditional type of love. My dad is not going to change, at least not much. And honestly, for a long time, I couldn't accept who he was either. Now I do. And when I was able to let go of what I wanted him to be, and also let go of his expectations for me, our relationship shifted. I can meet him where he's at. And there is a sense of belonging that I feel with him now. It's given me the opportunity to have deeper conversations with him, free of judgments and expectations. Because that's the tricky part. How do I have a conversation with and unconditionally love someone I really rarely agree with? I'm never going to change my dad's mind on certain things. And that doesn't mean I shun him or get mad at him because I think his beliefs are wrong. What it does mean is that I lean into my love for him, be in relationship with him, sans judgments and expectations. And I continually welcome him into my authentic life. So what is that third level of acceptance? That love plus acceptance equals ? I came up with covenantal acceptance. And if somebody has better wording, I am entirely open to it. But because ours is a covenantal faith, it seemed appropriate. Our universalist heritage directs us to an acceptance of others that borders on unconditional love, because we are all worthy of salvation in this lifetime, right here and right now. Acceptance, this covenantal acceptance, is the act of welcoming, hospitality, inclusion, and invitation over and over again. As I was looking for some different places to go with this and describe what I was trying to get across, I came through the Soul Matters, one of the older editions, and there's these 8 practices of welcoming, which were to be fully present, be curious, be open to being changed, be comfortable with discomfort, be an appreciative listener, be lighthearted, and be gentle. Allow and heal mistakes. And I think of the listening so much. To be able to have somebody give me the gift of being heard, of feeling belonging. So, covenantal acceptance. Where do we see that show up, and how can we create more of a deeper level of acceptance of others in our community and all around us? What about the opening words? As I say them, I mean them. But what would happen if the opening words also included, if you are a Democrat, Republican, independent, or anarchist, you are welcome here. Whether you are rich or poor, unhoused, undocumented, or formerly incarcerated, or an officer of the law, we welcome you today. How does that resonate with you? The one thing I've been continually reminded of in the past 18 months is that my spirituality, religion, faith, it is not confined by the physical walls of this church. It's not confined by any walls. Part of the acceptance is this sacred type of listening, the promise and reward of listening. It's a spiritual practice to be able to just be present with somebody and hear them and accept them, even though you might not accept what they have to say. Listening to others, their feelings, opinions, beliefs, without judgment and with compassion and wonder. Because our spirituality doesn't only happen at the fellowship or during Sunday service. Listen to others the way we listen to the sounds of nature. I don't listen to the sound of the wind through the trees and say, "You're doing it wrong." I don't watch a hawk and give it advice on how to fly. And I don't stick my hands in the soil and tell the dirt it should be more gritty. Paulo's correct in saying that accepting others doesn't mean that you agree with their opinions or approve of their actions. But this covenantal acceptance, this is what creates the space for the spiritual growth in ourselves and in others. And it's not limited to our congregations. It can't be. We need to embody this covenantal type of acceptance. Use listening as a spiritual practice. Be open to wonder and be open to being wrong. And also be open to creating something more wondrous for ourselves and all those around us. Amen, and blessed be.
Over 5 months ago, Reverend Lydia entered a ministry of sabbatical. as a release from the routine of normal responsibilities so she could focus on rest and renewal towards sustained excellence in ministry. Today, on behalf of the sabbatical team, in joyous enthusiasm, we bless the return of Reverend Lydia from her sabbatical time. I now invite the entire congregation to unmute and express their cheer for Reverend Lydia's return.
Yay!
Yay!
Welcome back!
Hooray! Go, girl!
So sweet.
Okay, that was awesome. Okay, this sabbatical season was a time when our fellowship grew in love. Boulder Valley has a long history of shared ministry, for we believe that each of us are called to serve one another and our faith community. During this time, we saw love show up in the ways our fellowship discovered our strengths, courageously voicing our concerns, and was present with all of that is in our life, both our deepest woes and our greatest joys. These past few months also contained challenge and struggle. We continue to yearn to be in each other's physical presence, worn down by the wicked roller coaster of uncertainty brought on by the pandemic. Some differences of opinion or styles have created conflict, and weariness and Zoom fatigue has caused some to back away for a while. We are certainly not alone in our struggles. The world struggles with us. And even with the challenges, a beautiful bouquet of people continue to invest their time and care in the well-being of this congregation. Today, we want to express our deepest appreciation for our office manager, Carol Pranschke, our administrative support person, Sue Hankins, our director of lifespan faith formation, Jessica Lakeman, our director of music, Todd Koryath, and members of the School of the Spirit, Ari Atarka, early education specialist, Kitty Kaler, youth advisor, and Rosemary O'Connor, School of the Spirit specialist. Oh, and I forgot Emily Jaworski Korth as well. For their willing hands and hearts that anchored us with patience. We're also immensely thankful to have had intern minister Lisa Moore's additional ministerial support and her wisdom and compassion to our community. Thank you so much, Lisa. And I now invite Reverend Lydia to share some words with us.
My first word is wow. I'm so delighted to be back here to see all of your faces on the Zoom screen, faces that I've known for years, and then new faces and new names that I'm just can't wait to get to know. Even in this Zoom setting, I can't wait to get to know. So I left for sabbatical with one main goal, which was to go at the pace of my soul. My sabbatical time was just what it needed to be, a time of renewal and reflection. There were no mountaintop experiences, no travel to exotic places, unless you consider New Jersey exotic. No moments of dazzling enlightenment. Instead, there were many moments of quiet contemplation. There were many walks, many soulful conversations, needed time with family and friends, a few classes and workshops, playful moments and very challenging ones, along with puzzles, laundry, and the dishes. I know I'll be integrating my sabbatical lessons among you for just in the same way that when I left, I was open to what arose slowly in that opening. And so returning now, I'm also just open to how this deepening in me will be reflected in my ministry with and for the congregation. So next week, I'll be leading worship, beginning to share some of my adventures in the ordinary. And until then, and after that, of course, I'll be connecting with leadership groups and individuals, getting up to speed, which is an uncomfortably apt phase for someone who has just chosen to live slowly for a while. I also, before ending here, really want to add my gratitude to the staff, as the sabbatical team said, but also to all the leadership. I know that my absence put a strain on the fellowship, especially in these challenging times. And I do hope that the extra work was distributed in a way that didn't overly tax any one person or overly tax too many people, and helped us all grow in our shared ministry. For that truly is central to my ministry, is that it is shared. We are shared in creating the beloved community together. I'm so deeply, deeply grateful to our staff and for all of you who have continued to show up, to do what needs to be done, and most importantly, to care for one another in a time when so much is at stake. It is a real gift and an honor to continue to be serving with you again and to be back.
On behalf of the entire congregation of the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, we accept and affirm Reverend Lydia's return from sabbatical leave. We pledge ourselves to join Reverend Lydia with open hearts, joining together in the vision of bringing love and reason to life, building a just and compassionate world. And now, as we invite Lisa to give our fellowship chalice back to Reverend Lydia.
Thank you so very much. That's great. Oh my goodness, that was really a fabulous surprise. So thank you. And after that, I invite us into our time of community connection, our time of sacred sharing, joyful sharing, and also sharing of the challenges that are in our lives. If you do have a joy or a concern to share, please type it in the chat window, sending it to everyone, and then letting us know briefly what's in your heart today. I will read aloud what you share. And if you'd like us to be able to follow up with you, please include your full name and where you live in our chat. And Lisa will put a stone in our sacred waters on your behalf. And beloveds, here we are again, gathered together so that we may learn to love even just a little bit better today than we did yesterday. Coming with our joys and our frailties, our accomplishments and our pain. Choosing community in these divisive times and reminding ourselves that we are not alone. Let us take what we learn here in acceptance of one another, in being together in both the challenge and the joy of life. Let us take this preciousness and amplify it in our words, in our deeds, and in our presence to those in the world around us. Today, I invite us to offer our love and support to the people of Haiti and Afghanistan, to all of those impacted by fires from Greece to the west coast of this country, and to the many more now who are impacted by the pandemic. We are a caring community, and I have no doubt that we will bring our love and support to those who are healing from illnesses, those grieving the loss of friends and family, those accompanying their friends and family on their final days. All the ways that we struggle in our humanness. Let us be a community of accompaniment. And also, of course, let us celebrate together the joys that we have of helping family members move into their first home, of being with family for a few days until they go off to college, of being around one another, of finding ways to notice the beauty in the world. Let us not forget to celebrate as well. May this be our promise and our prayer. Blessed be.
Now we will extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Our benediction is adapted from the words of Elizabeth Tarbox. And so I say ours is a story of faith and hope and love. I say it as our need for one another that binds us together, that brings us laughing and limping into relationships and keeps us at it when we otherwise might despair at the fix we are in. I say it is the holy we need, the eternal beyond our comprehension. And one place we can find it is here, working and worshiping together. And I say there is a transcendent value worthy of our loyalty, upon which we may set our hearts. And its divine manifestation is love. Amen, and blessed be. And as promised, here are our announcements about upcoming events and today's breakout rooms.
So of all the conversations I've had this week, the question of when and how to reopen the building for Sunday services has been the most, let's say, perplexing. We're not alone in this, I assure you. This meme has been floating around amongst my colleagues for some time now. I know that September 12th has been our target date for reopening of Sunday services. And now we have the surge that's been caused by the Delta variant and Delta Plus, and I've heard of Lambda and I think Gamma out there, along with our very first exposure to COVID in our building from a fully vaccinated person. These have once again changed the rules of the game. And congregational leadership are constantly in the mix of looking at what works, what we feel is safe, and how to also feed the yearning that we have to be together. I can't tell you now, my first Sunday back, how much I had anticipated or wanted to see us in person. It is unnerving to live with uncertainty for so long. It's hard on our souls. The COVID Task Force, the Worship and the Arts Committee, and the board, and probably a few other groups will be taking up this conversation this week again to help us understand what we will be able to, when and how we'll be able to open the building. So we're asking for your patience as we balance this strong yearning we have to be together and the risks to those who cannot get vaccinated at this time, especially our kids. I'm so aware that our families with children under 12 are really needing to figure out how to minimize risks, especially with kids going back to school. So we're trying to balance that with the ongoing unknowns about these variants. But what I can tell you is that on September 12th, you can expect a beautiful water ceremony that will kick off this coming fellowship year. And that we will find a way to have at least some of it, and hopefully all of it, in person. Have patience, my friends. Be kind to those of us who are pulling our hair out, trying to make all these decisions. And know that the day will come when we will be able to be together in person.
And a couple more announcements. The opening task force could use a few people with strong backs, some skills with tools, and or a pickup truck to move furniture and secure whiteboards, bulletin boards, and shelves to walls in several parts of our building. Everyone will be wearing masks while working inside the building. If you can help, please email or call Julie McKenzie. Her contact information is going into the chat now. And also, along with the coffee hour breakout rooms, Reverend Lydia, Paolo, and I will be in an additional room if you'd like to chat with us. So thank you very much for being here with us today.